Woo! Welcome to SCV Chat. I'm one of your hosts for the evening, Moose. And of course, before we get started this evening, please remember our views and opinions. Let me get the disclaimer up. Connor played the disclaimer while I was like halfway across the room.
I did not. I played the intro. Get it right. Anyway, the disclaimer is the views and opinions expressed in this broadcast are not necessarily those of the SCV, its GEC, any division, brigade, camp, or other subsidiaries, strictly of those of us who are expressing them. Hi, Moose. Hi, Sean.
Hi, Sean. Hi, GCB. Oh, we
I'm
didn't
the
realize what
residential
time it
co-host
was.
of Traveling Bard, if you didn't know.
Just in case you didn't know, I'm also the residential Moose of SCV Chat and its producer.
Traveling
And
Bard.
I guess we'll get into that. It is a better title, I will admit.
Will we? Will we?
And we'll get into these title things that we're discussing a little bit into the show and to one of our Pop-Tart breaks. We've got a couple of sponsors we're going to talk about tonight. I guess, are we going to start off with the petition?
Moose, you are a cheeky fellow. No, we're not going to start off with the petition because, A, we only have 15 viewers on. We're still waiting on people to come on. And B, 17. It's climbing slowly. And B, we're going to do that right before the Pop-Tart break.
It's going to be a long Pop-Tart break tonight. Y'all got something special. There you go. What?
What do we have special?
Remember, we have the announcement petition.
Right.
We have the paid ad, and then we have our own ad that we're throwing in there.
Ah. Okay.
I told you this, but then again, we were both kind of goofing off behind the scenes.
Well, it's like we were talking about on the behind the scenes. For most of our chat heads, if you haven't figured it out yet, we kind of just wing it. 90% of this stuff is made up on the fly. The other 20, when we actually, try to do stuff, and Moose was frozen for a second, but the other 20%, when we actually try to do stuff, people get concerned.
They do. We've winged everything on the show for so long. When we actually plan a show out to the very last minute, it concerns people that something bad has happened.
Right. If we begin bringing a lot of structure to this chaos, who knows what'll happen? There may be a revolution. Jack DuPont may, grab torches and pitchforks. Who knows?
Good to see you, Jack.
Oh, yeah. Are we still live on Facebook?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you get a notification?
No, but then again, I'm running the chat page right now on Facebook, trying to see things on how they're rolling. If anybody hasn't noticed, Moose lost a couple of pounds.
Thank you.
I mean,
wait, what do you?
He shaved.
Very funny.
Which, the one thing, he didn't get a haircut.
I got a haircut. I was just growing out my hair, so I didn't cut it as short as I normally do. My defense, and the only reason I shaved was because of Easter. It's a very important holiday, and I decided to shave for it. In doing so, I have started getting the weird compliments I don't know how to deal with, that I look better with crappy facial hair on my face than I do clean shaving now.
Yeah, it hides most of your face.
Yeah, it does, and that's why people like it.
See, if we ever get this Roku thing fixed out and we do that going at 6 o'clock, so with the behind the scenes show before we go on a public show, then Gerald, Skinny Moose, I
haven't seen him since high school. What are you talking about?
Really didn't see him in high school.
Connor, I was underweight in high school. My doctors were telling me to gain weight because I was severely underweight. I didn't weigh 100 pounds until freshman year in high school. I was 95 pounds the majority of my freshman year. Now, when I went up to Oxford is when the problem of the Harrison you see now, I look like I ate the previous the previous moose. And that is a new title, the King of Ramen Noodles.
If that's not on our new website by the end of tonight, I will be sorely disappointed. Speaking of new websites, hey, have y'all heard we have a new website? What's the URL there, Moosey?
It is scvchat.com. Do you want to go ahead and just go into it while we're here?
Sure, bring up the website.
All right, so I actually have the website on screen ready. So let me pull it up real quick. So here's the homepage. You just have
looks a lot like the background we currently have up.
Shh, they won't notice. We got a little hello from y'all. Of course, we have a welcome video that I look like I got punched in the gut right before filming. GCB just looks worried. And of course, we have our social medias down here. We got an about section. We talk about the SCV chat story down here, the official founding of SCV chat. We have a meet the team section that talks about all of the SCV chat crew, nicknames, inside jokes.
Nope. You're missing one.
What am I missing now?
You are missing our expert guest.
You are true.
Thomas Franklin.
Actually, I'm pretty sure Carl said that we should make our own special tab for Thomas. And just have one page with Thomas on it, and that's it.
All of his famous quotes.
Yeah, all his famous quotes on one singular page. It's going to be beautiful. I'm working on it soon.
How do you quote?
I will get that put in by a sign language interpretist.
Anyway, back to the site.
Back to the website. We have a meet the team. Of course, got a link to all of our website.
Yeah, and I noticed that they're mostly pictures of me.
Henceforth, you shall be known as Moose. That might be one of my favorite things I have ever made. And then here's us fighting at where were we at? Olive Garden?
Cracker Barrel.
Cracker Barrel. And then we got this. And because I put so much up of Connor, I put the man, the myth, the legend meme he made when I first got my nickname.
The moniker.
We have a list of archive episodes, which we're working on them. Right now, we have the 100th episode of SCV Chat when we had our special guest, Ben Jones, on. We will have a list more of our favorite episodes in the future. We're working on them. We're asking the whole SCV Chat crew some of their favorite episodes and what some of the favorite episodes they would like to see. And if you want to see something confusing, you can also watch our live episodes on here. Of course, this is our live episode right now. I'm so happy it's not going into tunnel frame, which I probably could do that. Let's see if that works.
Please don't.
I really am actually now waiting to see it to see if it works.
Oh, y'all are getting some highfalutin, high-angled stuff.
And of course, we have our news. We have Look Around News, which would be news from camps and divisions from, of course, Look Around the Confederation. We have SCV Chat News, which, of course, would be like some big news happening with us, like the launch of our website, scvchat.com. And, of course, news from SCV National. So, of course, we let everybody know about Commander's Comments, Confederate History and Heritage Month, National Confederate Museum update, and, of course, a challenge to woke politicians and military, and just some more news down here. Now, I've got a lot of questions about the events. So the event page is behind a locked wall. We did this just in case some of our enemies try to get our dates. And so we try to make it just a bit harder to get to. But all you'd have to do is go, and I'm signed in as myself right now. And you can go and you can see the events. And it has a lot of events. Like, for example, tonight, Heroes of Our Heroes movie review, The Patriot, and stuff like that. SCV Chat Media Push tomorrow. We'll talk about that tomorrow. And all quarter things, Confederate Legion update this Thursday, and just stuff like that. So that's our website. We're going to be ever building it, ever updating it, and ever adding more cool stuff to it. We have a lot of cool things we want to add to it, and a lot of great ideas that we have going around in our heads. This, of course, is just the foundation for it, a starting point to get it up there, get it out there. But I would like to ask everybody, of course, to go to our website, make an account. We will email you asking you for an SCV camp, UDC, OCR, all this information to make sure you are who you say you are, not a troll. Please go support our website. It means a lot to us, of course. And keep looking at it, because we're going to have a lot of great stuff, hopefully, this year updated on it.
Yeah, like if we ever get to, I don't know, go somewhere and tour something and do it as a paid event.
Mm-hmm. You would have to go on the website to watch it.
To find out if we're even doing it.
Yeah. You'd just click under this lovely news section.
Something else we may do is put an ad in the veteran at some point announcing that. That way, people, I don't know, will read their veteran. Michael C. Hardy, good evening, sir. We appreciate you being on from last week and putting up with us constantly. But Moose shaved and got a haircut, but it wasn't a good haircut. He said he wanted to be more like Michael Hardy when he grows up.
I do. I shave because of Easter. I'm probably not going to shave. Maybe for my camp's 30th anniversary at the end of the month, I might shave. I might shave. Well, I might have to shave this whole month because of all the important events coming in, and I don't think my facial hair is going to grow back to the point I would like it to be. But
Moose, there was an old story that when the war went into timeout, and right before Reconstruction, a lot of the veterans said that they would not get their heads cut or their beard shaven until the issue of states' rights was permanently resolved. And thus far, it still has not been permanently resolved. You could, I don't know, use that as a reason not to shave.
I could. I would love to say that I would not shave until this war for our Confederate heritage is won, and we don't have to worry about monuments coming down, rewriting of history, or the general disrespect of our heroes and Confederate soldiers. But
hey, there you go.
I would do it. Don't tempt me. But I would only have to keep the facial hair petition. Yeah, we can talk about the petition real quick. I can jump over here. So if you notice on the Meet Our Team section, we have a little opening right here. And last week, we have been talking about how we had an unofficial SCV chat historian. And someone got the lovely idea to make a petition to make Michael C. Hardy the official SCV chat historian. We need to get some feedback on this, people. We got to get some signatures, got to get everybody on board, and let's make Michael C. Hardy the official SCV chat historian, because those people in charge of SCV chat, they're hard-headed. They're only going to listen to a petition. You really have
to. Go ahead and scroll down and show the 2 signatures.
So me and GCB right now are the only 2 signatures. We also used our names, our on-screen names, I like to call them. Jason says he seconds the motion of Michael C. Hardy being the official SCV chat.
Well, we already have a motion in a second on the thing, but what we are wanting you all to do, this is something that we're trying to work out here for y'all, to give y'all a little bit more input into what we do here on SCV chat.
Yes.
We're trying to get this is a test of democracy.
Yes, a test.
So we're just wanting everybody to go ahead and sign it, just to get some participation up. Mm-hmm. We'll share the link after the show. Of course, it's in the chat right now. We'll share the link after the show. Michael has been a wonderful friend and supporter of the chat ever since its inception. He was one of our first guests, I believe, our first guest on here.
Our very first.
So we are very tickled to have a good working relationship with him. We didn't clear it with him before this, but we know he's a good sport, wouldn't mind.
He did give me feedback, and this just shows you how a great historian he is and a great person he is. He says that he thanks us for this, but don't feel need to give him official title. He just likes doing the work. And if that doesn't tell you how such a good man he is, I don't know what will.
Yeah, and we're already having people signing the petition as we. I keep updating it every so often on here.
Let me update mine.
So, but yeah, we're just like I said, we're just doing this as a test in democracy and test those chat heads that watch while we're live, as well as those that come on back and watch afterwards.
Make sure to also share this episode out.
Yeah, well, that's a given.
Yeah.
Oh, we have fun.
We do. Do we want to talk about events, the SCV chat events we have coming up?
Go ahead, Moosey.
All right. So, as everybody knows, I try my best to have a good bit of SCV chat events for the month of April, and I got a couple. And so, of course, these first 2 Mondays were the Heroes of Our Heroes episodes. Of course, tonight we're doing the Patriot movie review. Now, this Thursday, we'll have a Confederate Legion update, as well as we will have an official social media push this week. And what that is we're going to share something on our social media tomorrow. We're going to ask everybody to share it. We want to flood social media with this post. And if you saw the commander's comments this Thursday, you know what I'm talking about. There's this nice little ad, and I talked to our Chief of Heritage Operations, Mr. Ron Kennedy, after the show that if he would like us to do that one of these weeks, just to get more umped out of April and get a lot of things pushed out there, he said we could do it. So tomorrow we'll have a social media push. We're asking everybody to share what we're going to be posting tomorrow and get it out there. And of course, next Monday we will have Carl Jones on to host. And Carl has told me he's got a great episode planned, and I never have to worry with Carl. It's going to be an easy episode with Carl. Always love Carl. And of course, I'm still working on this that upcoming Thursday, the 20th. I have a guest plan, but they have not gotten back to me yet. As well as, and I'll have to talk to GCB about this more in private, but let's just throw them on the spot. Why don't we? I have thrown out the idea on April 15th and April 22nd, having a special live stream at the events that me and GCB will be attending. But that will be up to, of course, the people in charge of the event, if we can get Wi-Fi and many other things.
It all depends on the the doodad.
Yeah, it really does. And it's bad that I actually know what you were talking about there.
The internet connection. Sorry, I'm reminding people that have messaged us in the past that we are live.
And of course, April 24th, I have gotten Dr. Samuel Mitchum to come on, and his topic, we're happy to announce, will be "It Wasn't About Slavery," exposing the great lie of the Civil War. We'll be talking about his book. Of course, it is a great book. I am in the process of reading it as we speak. And on April 24th, that will be one of our big historical episodes. And then on April 26th, we will have our Hearth and Home episode, and our executive director, Adam Southern, not to be confused with Connor.
I got to see him this past weekend, and it was confusing for the members of my camp.
I bet it was. Could you imagine two twins walking in?
Well, I was already in there first. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just imagine like seeing you at the table and then seeing Adam walk in. I mean, it would probably just blow everybody's mind.
He did introduce himself as not me, though, and told the wonderful story of what happened up in Tennessee when a member of the Kentucky division thought it was me.
Fun fact, I believe that is our first official SCV chat nickname.
No, that wasn't even a nickname. That happened before.
I know, but we ran with it hard those first episodes.
Oh yeah.
And
Well, we
then,
don't want to confuse everybody.
yeah, I mean, you have to say it right then and there. And it was so funny hearing you tell the story because the guy you'd correct him and he would just go, all right, Adam, just completely ignoring you. And of course, those last two look arounds, I have guests planned. They have sadly not reached back out to me yet. I sent them an email a couple days ago, and I know they're busy, so I'm just going to wait a couple more days before I confirm it with them again. And then after that, that is going to be the busy month of SCV Chats, April. So we got a lot of great things planned. We hope y'all love it. We hope y'all tune in. And hope you support us. It's going to be a great month for us here at SCV Chat, and we have a couple of surprises planned for you, hopefully. But without further ado, I think that is all the news of SCV Chat side of things we have to talk about tonight. Let's see here. Mr. Jeff Code. Ooh. Do you want to take this one?
And boom.
What'd you do? I don't think that was a fair offense.
Yeah.
He did say something I don't agree with.
Well, like I said, we're not getting into that tonight. And
yeah, fair enough. I will make sure to send him an email after the show and talk to him privately. We're just not going to get into that tonight.
Yeah, it's a happy night. It's a fun night.
It's a happy night.
Happy night. Fun night.
It's a great day, ain't it, people?
I am glad that you think it is a great day.
Hey, it's always a great day when I can be here on SCV Chat with the great Conroe, the songbird of his generation.
We agreed that was not part of my title.
It's not. It's an unofficial title.
We agreed that was not a part of my. I'll tell them the moose story.
Okay. You're still Conroe, but I'll leave out the other part.
Sean, you're right. It is an after Easter type of night. And we do hope everybody had a great Easter or Passover or whatever you celebrate. That you were able to spend time with your family and whatever religious observances you attended this past weekend. I hate you so much right now.
What did I do? I moved the hair back and finished up the sideburns a little bit, got them a little bit straighter. That distracts you?
Make all the girl moves go Hank.
It's going to be one of these episodes.
Yeah, it's really not. You want to start talking about the movie?
We can, yeah. We could, considering.
All right, so we in our talking about what we wanted to do about this season, before Moose was a rather cheeky fellow, talked about how Southern heritage and history is a lot more than just 1861 to 1865. It's really 1607 to the modern day, and that in all actuality, our Confederate ancestors were right in 1861 because their forefathers were right in declaring independence in 1776. So we decided to do a look and dive into the Southern campaign and Southerners and their influences on the American Revolution. We've talked about who all, Moose, since we've started this?
Oh, you want to put me on the spot like that? Okay. Talked about the Swamp Fox last week, and we're going to talk about the Patriot.
No, we're going to talk about. Well, I'm saving that before we get into the topic for tonight. Come on, Moose, pay attention.
We talked about John Paul Jones in our first episode.
We did. The father of the American Navy, who was originally Scottish and moved over to the United States and settled in Virginia.
And then for our second episode, we did Kings Mountain,
where we brought on Michael C. Hardy, where he talked about the real Civil War that happened in the back country and everything that happened with Bannister Tarleton and, of course, Patrick Ferguson and his two lovely mistresses, one of which is buried up there with him.
Then we talked about Lees of Old Virginia.
Where we talked about Robert E. Lee's family that were from Virginia, including Light Horse Harry Lee and Richard Henry Lee. Of course, Light Horse Harry Lee was a cavalry commander, and Richard Henry Lee was the Virginian who introduced the first real resolution of secession in the United States. That these colonies are and of right ought to be free and independent states with the capital S, and that all political allegiance to the country of Great Britain should and of right ought to be dissolved. Over the mountain men. Forgot about that, Michael. Yeah. Continue.
And then we did the Swamp Fox, and
We
tonight
did the Swamp Fox from South Carolina, and again brought on Michael C. Hardy and his expertise on the life of Francis Marion, which gets us into this week's episode. You didn't know I had this planned out, did you, Moose?
No.
This week's episode is the movie review. We like to do those every so often. We are reviewing the movie The Patriot, starring Mel Gibson, because Benjamin Martin, the main protagonist, that's your 50-cent word of the day, is based off of Daniel Morgan and Francis Marion. So it's kind of a Hollywood dramatized mishmash of history, but at the end of the day, it's Hollywood. They're not going to get it all right, and it's a historical fiction, much like Johnny Tremaine. Hello, Calvin.
Got a lot of people in the chat tonight. Good to see y'all.
Yeah. So anyway, to start, The Patriot came out in 2000. It's hard to believe that it has been 23 years since that movie came out. I know, right? Just as a basic plot analysis, and then we'll talk about some of the historical stuff. It starts in the beginning of, actually mid 1776, when Benjamin Martin, Captain Benjamin Martin, a veteran of the French and Indian War, and probably also definitely the Cherokee Anglo War that we talked about last week, if you paid attention, in his 7 children, is called to Charlestown at that point. Not Charleston, Charlestown. Wikipedia's got that wrong. To vote in the South Carolina General Assembly on whether to supply a levy or troops to the Continental Army. The reason why we know it's 1776 is when the actual member of the Continental Army, Colonel Harry Burrow, I think is the name, is giving his speech, and Benjamin Martin says, would you rather have one tyrant 3,000 miles away or 3,000 tyrants 1 mile away? That's some foreshadowing there.
Yeah.
He talks about that they are expecting a resolution of independence from the Continental Congress. Benjamin Martin, being a veteran and a widower, does not want to go to war because he does not want others to fight when he will not, so he abstains. Nevertheless, the vote passes, and Benjamin and his family are starting to leave Charlestown when his oldest son, Gabriel. Now, let's pause for a moment right there. Pop quiz from last week. What was the name of Francis Marion's nephew that was sought out and murdered by the Tories? I'm probably going to shadow ban for that. That's right. For anybody who's about to type in Gabriel, that was his name. There'll be some more stuff coming up in a second. Anyway, Gabriel he joins the Continental Army, much to his father's chagrin and against his wishes, and he is made a courier.
Mhm.
2 years later, Charlestown falls to the British. And during some of the outlying fighting, Gabriel returns home carrying Continental dispatches, and he's wounded. And he slips into the house, and Benjamin Martin pulls a pistol on him and everything. And he talks about how Tarleton's Dragoons, except in this movie, he's not called Tarleton. I can't remember what Jason Isaac's character's name is.
1 second.
Tavington, that's it. Rode into the Continental line that was trying to surrender, but they massacred. Again, looking back at the real history of the war, that's the Waxhaws massacre that they're talking about. Anyway, a skirmish takes place on the Martin estate, and the home is used as a hospital for both British and Continental soldiers. The Gabriel Martin ends up passing out. He puts on a fresh shirt and a vest, and one British officer, I believe he's a lieutenant, comes up there and thanks for the care of His Majesty's soldiers and everything like that. Meanwhile, in comes the antagonist, Boo, Tavington. He arrives and his men find the dispatches, and he orders that the livestock is to be slaughtered with the exception of the horses, that the farm is to be torched, and that the American wounded are to be executed. They find the dispatches and they ask who carried these, and by that point, Gabriel gets up and he puts on his a continental coat, and he says they're his, and he says, "Oh, well, you're a spy. We're going to hang you." And they're like, "Okay, no, he's a uniformed dispatch rider carrying a marked case. No, we're going to hang you." Who does that sound like, chat? From 1861. Don't worry. That's right. It's a little bit like Sam Watkins. No, Sam Davis. Excuse me. Get them mixed up. Sam Davis.
Good old Sam Davis.
Yeah. The boy hero of the Confederacy who was hung, even though he was in uniform, for being a spy. Anyway, so the next oldest boy who'd been wanting to join the war runs and tries to free Gabriel. He gets shot by Tavington, and then Benjamin Martin decides that, you know what, this isn't going to happen. So he runs into the burning house and he grabs a couple of rifles, pistols, other things, Cherokee tomahawk from, again, the Cherokee War, and they decide to go rescue Gabriel. And him and his two youngest sons, actually there's one younger than all of them, but the two that are younger than the dead one, they start picking off in an ambush-style fashion the platoon, for lack of a better term, of British soldiers that are taking Gabriel to be hung, and they rescue him. Gabriel decides he wants to go back to the war. Benjamin decides, well, I'm going to follow him because now the war's come to me. They make it to Horatio Gates, engaging the British Army. They don't really say which battle it is. I think it's the Battle of Camden Place, maybe. Michael, if you're still watching. Anyway, he ends up retreating. The Continentals are routed. Benjamin goes to the Continental camp, offers his services, and is appointed a colonel in the newly raised South Carolina militia, and is put in charge of his son. They began recruiting members of the local countryside, and all of a sudden, they begin training, and they're under the training of a Frenchman, who's promised to.
Well, the guys are on the break now, don't know where they've gone to. Let's go to the kitchen and get ourselves a treat.
Thanks, Moose. Anyway,
Do
back
not blame that on me, GCB. I thought
well,
that
it
was
wasn't.
you.
It wasn't me. It must have been Thomas Franklin that did that. I don't know.
All right,
Uh,
I gotta 1 second. I gotta kick Thomas off the staff. I did that for the reunion.
Anyway, the militia begins training, and they begin a guerrilla warfare that it begins slowing down Wallace's regiments, and the Southern campaign, and they happen to stay in a swamp. That's where the swamp fox portion comes in. They operate out of the swamp and everything like that. Eventually, the British get really ticked off, and they begin trying to catch these guys in any way they can. They set up an ambush. Half of the men get captured. The other half, escape into the swamp. They arrange a flag of truce parley, which, if you paid attention to last week's episode, there was a parley that was mentioned between a high-ranking British officer and the actual swamp fox, Francis Marion, about the exchange of prisoners, and they duped the British, and the Lord Cornwallis orders or allows for the Americans colonists to be treated much more harshly. Eventually, a list of or Benjamin Martin's family is in hiding with his sister-in-law. They get found. They rescue them. Suddenly, a list or somehow a
Yeah, list of his men and his families.
Yeah, they began targeting the families of several militiamen, burning their homes, killing their families, et cetera, et cetera. Anyway, Tavington, which with this, he raids a town that had civilians in it, locked them in a church, burn it, killing everybody inside. When the local townsmen discover the tragedy, they go and attack his encampment, kill most of them because of plot armor. Tavington survives. For those that don't know, plot armor is we haven't made it to the full climax yet, so we have to save one, kill the other type deal.
And it usually happens in the most unrealistic way as possible.
Right. So in this case, Tavington is shot. Gabriel's going to go finish him off, and when he turns him, flips the body over, he's ran through with a saber. Spoiler alert, movie's been out for 23 years. We ain't seen it yet.
Well, I mean, if you're going to watch a movie review, expect there to be spoilers, people. No offense.
Anyway, it continues on. The Continental Army and everybody gets together. They have what is a combined battle of Cowpens as well as Guilford's courthouse. The British end up retreating, and then they surrender at Yorktown. Benjamin Martin marries his sister-in-law because his wife was dead, and they come back home, and the militia is building their house, and they live happily ever after. So there's that. Before we get into the historical authenticity of the movie, as well as the connection to Francis Marion and other people in the real historical area or time period, it's time for us to take a commercial break.
That it is. And of course, tonight's Pop Talk break is sponsored by the Kennedy twins' newest book, Jefferson Davis, The High Road to Emancipation and Constitutional Government. Jefferson Davis' High Road to Emancipation and Constitutional Government was about how Jefferson Davis was a leader to the high road to emancipation. He looked for a day in which slaves could participate and live in society. He did more, though, than advocate for this high road to emancipation. He practiced his belief in the ultimate emancipation of Southern slaves. And many of his former slaves left for prosperity and their testimony about their former master who prepared them to be a member of society. And of course, you can get Jefferson Davis High Road to Emancipation and Constitutional Government at www.kennedykitwins.com and most online bookstores. It is a great book. I have officially got the book now, and I hope to be reading it soon after this month of April. I have a good bit of reading to do this month, but trust me, we've been hearing great reviews from everybody on here, and of course, we will have the Kennedy Twins come on and talk about it at some point, probably in June around Jeff Davis's birthday.
Especially when we can figure out questions to ask them.
Yeah,
Although we usually don't ask questions.
No, we just let the Kennedy Twins talk because their talking points are much better than anything we could come up with. But we will be right back after this Pop-Tart break.
I've always been proud of my Confederate ancestry, but I never pursued becoming a member of the Sons of Confederate Veterans. It all changed in 2017 when I saw New Orleans take down their Confederate statues. Those monuments come down really lit a fire inside of me, and came to the conclusion I needed to join the Sons of Confederate Veterans. It's a domino effect. We give in on this, it's just a matter of time before they start taking down Thomas Jefferson and George Washington. We need to draw the line in the sand right now. These are our Confederate monuments, these are our Southern heroes, and you're not going to take them down. Our museum is going to be funded 100% by the Sons of Confederate Veterans. The history, the narrative that we present will be the narrative that we write, so it will be our story, our museum. Right now, if we do not protect our heritage and present it as it truly was, it's going to be lost forever. We're going to tell the true story here. I'm Adam Southern, and I'm a proud descendant of Private Alfred D. Southern, a Confederate veteran.
One more time, I want to thank the Kennedy Twins for sponsoring tonight's Pop-Tart break.
Not a Pop-Tart break. We already had it.
Huh?
Commercial break.
Carl's Pop-Tart break intro, randomly, might I add, coming on, does not count as a Pop-Tart break.
Yes, it does, because it was at 7:35.
But we'd like to thank the Kennedy Twins for sponsoring tonight's Pop-Tart break with their newest book, Jefferson Davis High Road to Emancipation and Constitutional Government, available at www.kennedykitwins.com and most online bookstores. Make sure you go pick it up today.
Jack, to answer your question, no, we don't get a copyright strike for that because we are not using any other intellectual property. We're just saying Pop-Tart. If anything, Pop-Tart owes us for money. We're saying Pop-Tart on the show so many times.
Pop-Tart.
So if Kellogg would like to pay us for our Pop-Tart breaks, we'd be more than happy to take it.
The Rice
75 times, $75 a time we say Pop-Tart. Pop-Tart, Pop-Tart.
Oh, Dick Nabbit. I just checked the private chat.
Pop-Tart.
Got some people stirring up some stuff. Thank you, Lieutenant Commander-in-Chief. That is the summary that y'all gave me, so y'all wrote that beautifully.
Chief, he's had enough time to practice it.
I really have, considering the massive butchering I did at the first Pop-Tart break y'all sponsored. It was pretty bad.
Commercial break.
It was GCB. It was pretty bad, that first one.
We need to have some decorum when talking about Pop-Tart breaks. Hey, Moose, I need you to figure out.
This is one of the episodes that have just completely ran off the rails, and the train
never on the rails. I need you to figure out how to do a counter in like the bottom Well, that doesn't really help. Bottom corner down here, and y'all got to see my lovely desk at WORK. Need you to figure out how to do a counter, so every time we say Pop Tart or Pop Tart break, it counts down there.
Actually, I think I might be able to.
No, don't worry about it this show. Anyway, so that was a synopsis of the movie The Patriot. Let's talk about the historical stuff.
Hoorah! You go first.
I did the entire synopsis. You go first.
So the movie is highly criticized for its historical authenticity. There are historical movies that take liberties, making sure the story flows well and the movie flows well. And then there are movies that just completely take liberties. And as much as I love The Patriot, it does take a good bit of liberties. But then again, it is combining a lot of historical people. One thing that I know they're criticized about is the church scene. As some Revolutionary War historians point to the fact that if something like this ever happened in the American Revolution, it would have never stopped being talked about. I don't necessarily believe that's a good argument. You never know what historical atrocities aren't talked about. Again, the Yankees came down here and they did a lot of war crimes and we don't talk about it. So does that count? Is it not happening?
No, we do talk about it, like
We do.
Minerva Cook. That's a fun story for another time. Yeah, the church scene is one that, I mean, you've got to have an antagonist. You got to.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when, and the worse off the villain is, the more that you hate him, the sweeter it is when he finally gets a bayonet stabbed in his chest. Oh, forgot about that.
Got a flagpole and a bayonet stabbed through his chest.
The flagpole went into the horse.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, but I mean, the team did consult with the Smithsonian Institute for whatever good that did for them on props, costumes. Costuming is fantastic for the most part.
I love it.
For the most part, it's really, really good. All the way down to the dragoon helmets that Harry Burrell's wearing. Really, really, really good. So there was that. They even, the Gullah Village, which was in South Carolina, where the family hid at after the sister's house got torched. That was something they suggested, and it was very well done. The screenwriter actually did, and this is something you really don't see that often. They went through many firsthand accounts. So we're talking about journals, letters, primary source documents when preparing the screenplay. So that was good. The backdrop. They were telling a fictional story with a backdrop of serious history, is what one of the producers said. And again, Benjamin character. He was a composite character that was made up of course, Daniel Morgan that we've mentioned, Francis Marion. Some say Thomas Sumter, Andrew Pickens. There's one that David Pope had mentioned from Eastern Tennessee that's in there, and just several others. There's that. Again, so was Tarleton. He was based off of, or Tavington was based off of Tarleton, with some other brutal acts thrown in there.
Britain's historians are really the main people who heavily criticize this, which, I mean, they naturally probably would have anyway. They lied into the movie pretty good from what I've read on their newspapers of the film, historians' reviews of the film.
Yeah, but I mean,
we lit into it. But then again, it's just as bad about British, how they treated the American colonies during the war. And I tell people this all the time. Every place you look in history is going to have darkness in it.
Yeah.
Wanna
Well, I
have
mean,
more
and
of
it's just
history.
it's just like Chief Kennedy just said. No wait, that's Walter D. Downey. Yeah, yeah. Sorry. Um. Anyway, the Patriot is no different than Braveheart. They even have Mel Gibson in it. Historically, it is not his. Don't write a term paper based on the Patriot as historical fact, but it's a good jumping off place, just like SCV chat is a good jumping off place. We try to just whet your appetite with history and stuff like that, and make you go do your own research. But yeah, the British really don't like him. One British, historian wrote that, or excuse me, the Guardian said that Marion was a serial rapist who hunted Red Indians for fun, which heck, it's the Guardian, and just all sorts of other stuff. You know,
Right into 'em.
it's well, I mean, and it's trying to again whetting the appetite and making you want to look into it. It also goes into the whitewashness of history, the deification of the American pantheon, so to speak. Your Washington, even Lincoln, and all these men had their moles, no pun intended with Lincoln. Um, but we Americans we deify historical figures, and we leave out their we only focus on their
Mistakes,
good,
yeah.
not just their bad. Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, no, I was agreeing with you. I said that's something that, as you get more into history on the college level, which of course everybody knows I have, they focus 100% on the darkness of history, and they don't focus any on the light. So it's the exact opposite of what we're talking about here. And you'll see a lot of historians sadly do that today, where they try to villainize everything that happened in the past because today we know it was wrong. And that's not a clear way to look at history. You need to look, as GCB was saying, history of the good and the bad. And it's also about stepping back in that time period and not thinking like you're in 2023. Think like you were in 1776. You have just been invaded. You feel like you've been taxed against your rights as a British citizen.
Well, I mean, it's more that. Again, going back to one of our previous conversations, I mean, the American Revolution is stereotypically in academia, the breakdown is a third, a third, a third. A third didn't care, and the third was one third was on either side.
Yeah.
But it's history is history. History is messy. Thank you, Dr.
Thank you,
Mitchell.
Dr. Samuel Mitchum,
But
who will
the
be our guest this April.
Yeah, but the problem that we have with so much of what academia and modern museums and even our own federal government with the National Park Service is doing, again, my opinions. Review the disclaimer.
Wait.
Yeah, bring it on up.
Before we start getting in this wormhole of opinions that will maybe get us in trouble, please remember the views and opinions expressed
Oh,
in this
just
podcast.
flash it on the screen. You're making me get off my soapbox. That soapbox isn't that heavy or isn't that sturdy. Anyway, the history is often looked at in a modernist point of view. We think of, how backwards they were in that time period with their points of view and things like that. And in some cases, it may be true. But you know what? That was the point of view that they had back then. A thousand years from now, they may be saying, "My God, did anybody? How could anybody use tobacco, knowing that the bad risks that it has? Now that we've completely abolished it, I'll never live to see that."
How could people watch SCV chat, which is just brain numbing?
No, it's not brain numbing. Most of the time.
Most of the
When
time,
you bring
yeah.
up South Park quotes. And Gary is right. It doesn't fit their narrative. It fits what they want it to fit. True history, true research, true academia is looking at the firsthand sources, putting out the firsthand sources, and letting folks make up their opinions from that. That's one thing I love about the National Museum at Elm Springs is that this is a well-researched museum. The different sections on the timeline, which tells all of Southern history from 1607 all the way to today, shows and is well researched, well written, so that the narrative, the true narrative that is whitewashed and glossed over by modern academia and even our own federal government, which no big surprise there, continues to leave out.
And why, of course, I put up Dr. Mitchum's comment because I truly believe that, of course, as someone that is just now starting out in the historian world, trying to get my footing, trying to get involved in that field, making that my life's work, what?
You've been in college since 2014.
All right, now that we got that done with, I've not been in college since 2014. I was 15.
At first in archaeology, and then teaching history, and now doing something.
All right, GCB.
I'm pretty sure you have your.
This is behind the scenes.
Pretty sure you have your feet wet.
This is a behind the scenes conversation, GCB. But getting back to it, as someone that, yes, I have started getting in that world, and I have seen how college historians or modern day historians have done this presentism. I believe that is correct pronunciation. GCB will jump back on in a minute and counter me on that. It is 100% a real thing. It's 100% that all historians do. And then when the historians do it, it just trickles down to the government doing it, to public schools doing it, to then it just being looked at as truth because a historian says it. And I did find a quote that I'm going to talk about to combat what the English newspaper said that GCB wrote out. Marion deserves to be remembered as one of the heroes of the War for Independence. Francis Meredith was a man of the times, though. He did fight a brutal war against the Cherokee Indians, but Marion's experience in the French and Indian War prepared him for the war, a more admirable service. And so it's so funny that one of the first lessons that is beat over your head when becoming a historian is to never judge the past as you would today, because we know things that they wouldn't know, or we think differently than they do. And that is a scary thing to get involved in when you're doing that, because it leads you down to a darker path where you misunderstand history and misrepresent history when you are talking about it to people. Did I make you mad cutting you off so many times?
No, I was letting you finish your thought, and I was just going to add mine on there. Of course, Dr. Mitchum being one of the few exceptions. The reason why they want to do this presentism is so that they can get peer-reviewed in journals and sell their books at a campus bookstore for way too much, make it a required reading piece of material, and you may cover the entire $50 book in one class period. Speaking from firsthand experience.
Yeah, me and you both.
Again, there are exceptions to it, like Dr. Mitchum.
Oh, yeah. Dr. Mitchum, of course, the unofficial SCV chat historian, Michael C. Hardy. And all the historians we really had on here have been good historians.
Past Commander-in-Chief Larry McClooney. He's an educator.
Yeah, he's an educator. I don't know if y'all know that.
He also wrote books.
He's also wrote a couple books, which I'm pretty sure you wrote the foreword in one of them.
I was in the foreword for one of them. I didn't write.
Okay, you were in it.
Yeah, and Dr. Mitchum, you're probably right. You probably have sold more books than 98% of them, because there are so many. You can only write a book on Abraham Lincoln so many times with a Northernist point of view. And I'm not Lincoln bashing. I mean, Grant, Sherman, whomever. But you can only write that Northernist, modernist, presentism point of view so many times, say the same thing, so many times, before people are like, why do I want another book on this? Oh, here's a book like The South Was Right, or your Encyclopedia of Confederate Generals, or something like that, that sheds truth and light that people do not normally get, because truth is always going to find its way out one way or the other. Hence the museum, hence SCV chat, hence what we do every single week on this show. It's going to find its way out, and when it does, when you get that different point of view, people buy it.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, 14,000 books on Lincoln. How many are on Gettysburg?
Ask our current commander-in-chief, Jason Boshiers. He actually knows the number.
No, it's every year a new book comes out on Gettysburg. Something else. And I'm not talking about regimental histories or something that's narrowed down. I'm talking about just a rehash of the battle and the everything that goes with it. I mean, it's just it's so watered down. I don't know how we got onto the topic of current academia. We can digress back to the movie in a second. But yeah, that's where it is.
I had to put that comment up.
Yeah,
I love Dr. Mitchum. He's always been great on the show, and his comments are just gold every time.
Hey, Dr. Mitchum, is the sequel going to be how he walked on water? Forgot to lock a door in 1865.
Probably, actually. I'm waiting for it. Or they might make another movie about him being a vampire slayer.
Again, back to one of my favorite scenes out of 1776, the musical that was adapted to film in 1976. There's a scene where John Adams and Benjamin Franklin are talking and just kind of wrapping it up and bringing it back home to the American Revolution. John Adams is quite distraught because he didn't think that posterity would remember him. And he said, the way the history books are going to record it is that Franklin did this, Franklin did that, Franklin did some other damn thing. Franklin smote the ground with his lightning rod, and out of the ground sprung George Washington, fully grown and on a horse. The three of them, Washington, Franklin, and the horse, won the American Revolution single-handedly. And if that doesn't, just smack of Lincolnian academiology, I don't know what else does. Lincoln did this, Lincoln did that. Lincoln split a rail, and out came Ulysses S. Grant, fully grown and on a horse. And the three of them conquered the South.
Yeah.
If that's not modern Yankee academic, study of the war, I don't know what is.
100%
Hey,
agree.
remember, write down 103. I want that clip in the gag reel.
I'm getting the pen out. I'm writing it down. It'll be in the gag reel. Don't worry.
Yeah, Dr. Mitchum, it does float. Anyway, so in all wrapping it up, the Patriot is a good movie. It is a good as far as it being a piece of fiction, production, uniform, clothing, research-wise, that's how Hollywood should make historical movies. They should do the research, make sure the costuming's correct, everything like that. Yeah. Story-wise, great story. But the whole, point of the last 30 minutes is, do your own research.
Movies should be a pushing point for you to go into history, not what you base your knowledge on.
Right.
And that goes for any movie. As we've talked about, me and Michael C. Hardy, I love the movie Gettysburg. I really do. But do I use that as my basic knowledge on Gettysburg? No.
I don't know which is worse, the uniforms or Longstreet's beard.
you leave Longstreet's beard out of this, man. If they did their best.
No, they didn't.
No, they didn't. You just made it pop up in my head now, and that's going to be an image. I'm going to have to go back and watch it now. It's bothering me. That beard.
Actually, I don't know which is worse, Martin Sheen's Robert E. Lee accent or that's a good question. Which is worse? Moose, after the show, put a poll up. Which is worse? Martin Sheen's Robert E. Lee accent or Longstreet's fake beard? Michael, the rubber bayonets, I mean, it sucks to see it. You also see it in Gods and Generals, but from seeing what happened in the recent news with Alec Baldwin, I can understand giving them rubber bayonets. I mean, that's, just, understandable.
It is. I mean, again, that I don't like the actor per se, but
we're not going into that. That's too modern. I was just making a point that you have to be careful with props as a former prop.
They do. They do.
A couple of productions.
He's also the SCV Chat's official prop master.
No, we don't have a prop master.
Well, I'll put it on Adam.
Well, no, he's stunt coordinator.
He is stunt. Carl?
No.
Jason.
We'll just give that job to Thomas Franklin.
Thomas is going to get us like raccoon shooter.
Could be fun. All right, guys, we've been at it for about an hour. I've got to get back to my rounds up here at the undisclosed location in which I have a profession. So I hope y'all have enjoyed this, especially our little rant for the past 30 minutes. Go ahead. Remember to like this episode on Facebook and share it with your friends. Remember to check us out on YouTube and our new website, scvchat.com. Also, now's the time to go and sign the official Michael C. Hardy as the official petition. Get on
Make
there.
Sure to, go ahead.
Go ahead, Moose.
Make sure to tune in this Thursday for a look around.
To say that.
A Confederate Legion update. We will have Chief of Heritage Operations, Mr. Ron Kennedy on, and myself talking, of course, about the Confederate Legion, what all they're doing, and a couple of surprises, I hope. I hear some great things that we're going to have to talk about Thursday.
Remember, while we're also saying that, remember to think locally and act locally. You are, and your camps are the backbones of the SCV. We don't get anything done on any type of level unless you are in the trenches, just like your ancestors were. Do something. It is Confederate Heritage Month, guys. Do something to bring honor and light to our heritage, light to our organization. Remember to also check out Alamo City Guards Chat with Christian Lee. Look around Southwest Florida with Sean McFall, whatever Vinny's doing nowadays. Check him out on that. Check out the website. Donate money to the museum or some worthy cause like the Forest Rides Again, re-erection of the plaza. We'll be back on, let's see. We're doing a replay of this on Wednesday.
Maybe I might jump on and do the news. We have some news piling up because it's April and I won't be able to get to it Thursday. Maybe. So 50-50.
Well, let's make it 75. I will come help you with the news.
Okay, I was just saying because I'm the only reason it's 75 is because there's 25% chance I'll be on the road Wednesday.
Where are you going?
I have to go up to northern Mississippi. Yeah.
Yes, like Adam says, love those donations. Keep them coming. Thanks for chatting with us, Adam.
Yeah, good to see you, Conroe twin? ?
He's the songbird
make sure
of the generation.
He's the songbird of the generation and the official corn dog holder of SCV Chat.
You know, he and I are in the same generation. We're both millennials. I know, right?
Make sure to go check out the Friends of the Dr. Freeman group. Always a great group. Always learn so much in that group. So if you can support them, please do. They have live streams on Friday night, and they're always good. David does a great job over there.
Finally, remember, check out our currently unofficial historians page on his blog page, his historical
Got a
chat
lot of
page, his book selling page, all them pages.
Wait. I think I still have it in the chat. 1 second.
Look, Moose may be prepared.
Maybe. Yes, I have it. All right. You can check out his official blog, his website, which also has his book library, and his official recommended library, where he talks about books.
Recommended?
All right. I'll see myself out.
There are Michael's links. All right, guys. We'll be back on Wednesday more than likely, unless Moose is on the road and I have other obligations with this place where I am right now. If not, there'll be a replay. If not, we may do it Friday. We're working on some of our April stuff. Maybe next week we will do some other fun Confederate Heritage stuff. Who knows? That's why you need to tune into the website, tune into the Facebook page. Make sure you're liking, following. Guys, in the words of our friend, the late, great Harold Philpotts, until next time, no Fumar in the elevator.